Are you looking to get information on Canadian city stats? Maybe you're looking to get trends on population for growth or rent versus own, or maybe construction detail. Well, I'm going to show you how to do that using the Realtor API provided by API Dojo, specifically for Canada. My name is Ariel Herrera with the AnalyticsAriel channel, where we bridge the gap between real estate and technology. Now, if you like this content of getting a little geeky into data, please subscribe to this channel and like us on social media as well. All right, let's get started. So right now what you're seeing is a dashboard that has all of these stats taken from data from this API in one spot. But before we actually get to this stage, let me actually show you what this API is all about. So right now what you see is Rapid API home site. And what Rapid API is, it's a marketplace for APIs. And if you're not aware of APIs are, just think of it as a way to actually get data in a way that's readable. Realtor.com is a source that actually takes information from the MLS when it comes to the United States. From Canada, it also takes information on properties. And Realtor actually doesn't have their own in-house API. However, there has been a company called API Dojo, which scrapes data from Realtor sites and puts it up online available for use for others. If you're interested on the US data on how to get for sale information, please go see my other video on how to do that with the Realtor API for United States. But specifically for this, we're going to focus on Canada. One of the biggest questions I get when it comes to APIs is, what is this going to cost me? So just to start off real quick, it's going to cost you nothing. What this API allows you to do is actually make pings to their endpoint 500 times a month without getting charged. And where you see this part, it says hard limit. That means that once you reach that 500, it's going to stop allowing you to make requests, meaning that it's not going to charge you. So if you do want to sign up and use this, you do have to put your credit card in. However, it is not going to charge you, and I have no affiliation into this API. So now we're looking at the endpoints. What this means is what endpoints, what is provided to us where we can actually get data. And the one that I'm interested in right now is getting statistics around properties or actually around cities within Canada. What you would do is you would go to this Get Statistics spot. Then based on the programming language you use, in this case for me it's Python, I would go here to Python and click Requests. So once you click Requests, you can actually see an example template of code in order for you to actually run this and get data, which I'll show you what the data looks like really soon. So we have the URL that we need to get the data from, and the endpoint is Get Statistics. The query string basically tells you what you need to input in order to be able to get the data. So in this case, unlike the US API that just has a city name and state, this actually needs a specific latitude and longitude, which I'll show you how to get that really easily. And then there's one other field that you could use, which is culture ID. And this allows you to toggle information to come back in either English or in French, which is pretty awesome, depending on where you are in Canada and which is more predominantly spoken. Next is the headers, which you'll have the host, which remains the same, and then your API key, which I'm not going to share mine with you, of course, because that should be private. And then after that, you're going to get your response. And let's actually dive into that right now to see what it looks like. So the platform that I'm on currently is Databricks. If you're unfamiliar with it, it's a platform where you can program, has IPython notebooks available, so similar to Jupyter notebooks. It's really meant for large scale data. What I like is using the community version in order to get really cool dashboards very fast with this. So let's go down to where we actually obtain the data. So what I'm doing down here is first on the top, actually, where you see O1 city, that's called a widget, which allows the user to enter something in, and then you're taking that information afterwards. And what I want to see is one of the biggest cities in Canada, Montreal. What do the stats look like? So it's not going to be efficient for me to put latitude and longitude each time. So what I'm doing is I'm going to the geocoding API by Google. It's really easy to sign up for a free account. And what this does is that it converts addresses to actual latitude and longitude, to geographic coordinates. So what we've done here is created a function called getLat and lon, so get latitude and longitude. And what that basically does is it points towards the Google API, and then you enter in, pass through the location. So in this case, it's just Montreal. And then I'm going to get in return a latitude and a longitude. Pretty simple. So once that is done, that's now going to be passed. So we have latitude and longitude. That's going to be passed into the actual endpoint parameters. What that means is it's going to be input right over here. So I developed a function in order to easily do that called API get city statistics, which is up here. Also, just to note, please don't copy any URLs or code as you're watching this. I will have all of it in the show notes so that you could use it as well. So this function up top gets the API key, which should be in a different location for privacy, and then the latitude and longitude entered by the user. At this stage, I'm only getting things in English because that's the only language that I speak, not French, unfortunately. So once I get that, I'm getting the response and I'm converting it into JSON format, which is basically just another way to read data, another data source. So like CSV for Excel and text files is just another way of reading data. So once I obtain that, this is what it actually looks like. So I named my variable stats response, very basic. And what we get here is information around the date. So it looks like the last time this data was pulled was, as of this recording, about a month ago in September. And information that we see is different keys. There's stuff around daytime populations, by age groups. But the main thing here is that this isn't really easy to read, right? So after I save the data, I actually want to look to see what are the table names. So the way I did this first was just noticing that each table had a key up top. So this would be the key, and then this would be the value. And then there was more information on top of that. So I wrote a quick for loop in order to actually get what the table names are. So I could see this information around retail sales, population, education, income, construction. This is the meat of data that I'm looking for. So the next stage is when you're working with dictionaries or JSON, this is this format up here. The way you specify how you kind of want to go through it is based on the actual keys. So down here, what I'm doing is saying that stats response, I want to only look at the data. And in this case, I want to look at, these are the first objects, and I want to look at the value. So what is the return information that's coming through? And from here, I could see this information on the population, median, houses with children or without, which is really interesting. However, there are limitations here in that when it comes to, say, daytime population, of course, it's not 140,000 for a whole entire city, a very large city at that. It's being truncated in some way, and how it's being truncated, I'm not sure about. Reached out to API Dojo. They're not sure about. Had a fellow realtor reach out to Realtor Canada, and they weren't able to tie it back for us. So there's a little bit of limitation there, but it's still useful in some sense. So I was able to take the data for each of these subtables that were in that JSON response and kind of went through them, made some notes. And what I want to point out to you is actually the power of using data is not just having it in a spreadsheet, but actually being able to visualize to see things right away. So if we go over to that dashboard that was created, let me first take a step back and show you how that's created. So say I have this table right here. What's really neat with Databricks, which again I have no affiliation with, you can click this button and then click yes, add it to the dashboard, and then it populates in the dashboard. It's an easy drag and drop way to create this outlook, which is good for prototyping. So right now we have information on Montreal, the city. We could see that we have information on the median age, looks like about 32, average household income, not about almost close to 90,000. I'm assuming this is in Canadian dollars. We can see the population by age group. It looks to be more lean towards a younger city. And some good things to note here. Say if I was a young professional that was moving to Montreal and I want to know where I want to live, and I'm looking at this data, I could see that the population trends have been going up, which is a good thing also for someone who's investing. And you could also see the rent to own ratio. And some other interesting facts is when homes have been built. So for those of you that may be aware from my prior videos, I used to I still own the property, but I used to live in the property of a home that was built in 1914. So anytime I see statistics or anything about homes that are older, it always resonates a little bit more. And we could see here that 20% actually of these properties are older properties. And there are some that are more newer as we look on the right side over here. This might be interesting for many different reasons. It could be, say, if you're investing and you want to strategize on just homes that were built in a certain era so that you know exactly how to perform construction on them in a more cost-effective manner. This may be something that you want to hone in on. We could also see the education in the area and also the household income. Now, what's pretty neat is because we have set it up in a way that you can enter in a city and then it grabs latitude and longitude and updates this data, we can actually look to do that right now. So say if I actually typed in before young professional neighborhoods in Montreal. I've heard before Griffintown. So let me select that, put it in here, and select update. So what this is going to do is it's going to run all the cells that I previously just showed you with code. And some of these graphics are produced on Databricks on its own platform. Some of the graphics are actually created off of Plotly. Now we have information on Griffintown, and we could see that the household income is a lot higher than just general Montreal. We could also see that definitely it's a younger age group, and the population was really trending up between 2013 to 2020, and it's expected to actually have a little bit more of a slower growth. And I would want to look more into that. Why is it? Is it already saturated? Is it becoming unaffordable? That's something that would raise red flags potentially if I'm looking to maybe invest in the area. And we don't want another San Francisco issue. So then we could also see there's a lot of properties have actually been built after 2011. So we could probably assume that a lot of the properties are either new homes or maybe these large apartment buildings, multifamily buildings. So we can kind of make some decisions of where we want to go based off of this. And as expected, we could see that most of the population in this area have some sort of higher level degree, and the household income does reach some of the higher values. Now, the power of data, of using this API is that you can get statistics, you could use it, implant this maybe in your own research, on your own websites, whether you are a real estate agent and you want to provide data to others to make informed decisions on where they want to live, or if you're a real estate agent and you want to understand trends better. Now, again, just to reinform, there are limitations in that when we see these values here on the left-hand side, it still isn't clear exactly what those mean. So if you could help me in trying to contact the API Dojo team or the Realtor team to actually get information on this, that'd be great, and please share with the community. So just to recap, if you want to get this data, go to Rapid API, go to Get Statistics, and please share if you're able to bridge this in with any of your current projects. Thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe.